the monitors?
Yes, it's a different system. They were gonna discontinue it and hopefully enough guys wanna see it, cause I put this, Walsh County, I put, yes, we wanna see it. So I don't know, it's probably something that they don't wanna pay them. I was gonna call Jeff here if I can first and see what the heck.
You got some bills there, Renee.
Yeah, it's a different system. They were discontinuing it, hopefully enough guys wanna see it, cause I put this Walsh County.
Okay.
On tape, it's probably something that they don't wanna pay them.
But you can get the whole yard and put it in your yard or yard now or?
So this is.
Yeah.
There, so you could do.
Yeah, put it back together.
We can take
Are
our,
you okay with this?
all our C's and D's and Verizon wireless and Cisco and that.
They're what it looks like.
One piece. You know, you try to go like another one. Well, good there, I was super over there. But, and they're on Wednesday night.
Where the heck is it?
Mangled piece.
There.
Yeah, I think they got all.
It's gonna be hard to remember next month, go back to ADM, we're gonna all text each other.
Oh, so that's the company that was doing it and they're gonna quit that April 26th.
Okay.
So he asked if you'd like to continue and I
Yeah.
did say yes.
Is there a cost for it or not that
I
I
don't
care?
think so. I think the basin or whoever pays for it, we haven't paid anything into it.
Yeah, perfect,
So
yeah.
now I'm letting, I'll open this one. What do I want to put it?
What are you trying to do?
This,
You wanna forward it, you mean? or-
no, just open it. I was gonna show you the pumping. So like it's a book. Quick, and I wonder if OneDrive works on my phone. It's like every time I do something. Oh, well, all we just do it happen. Oh, it's coming. There you go. So here. That's the trouble with your phone. All of a sudden here, the last 4 days is up. You'll start seeing.
Mhm.
And it's pumped. If we go back here, it's pumped. So I don't know which one.
What day is it? Something else?
They started like the 15, 16.
Okay.
But see, I suppose, I don't know if they're shutting it up at night or whatever. Okay, so now here today, they really pumped a lot then.
Well, it's 5:30, we'll call a meeting to order, stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag. of the United States of America. To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Let's start with additions to the agenda. Christie.
None.
Ernie?
Want to bring up the part that was not getting clear that we just had a meeting on, get approval of that. And just so it's in the minutes, I'm gonna bring them up about that StarNet that's monitoring the water flow from Nelson County. StarNet. That's the only tool that will be quick.
Carrie, you have anything?
Nope.
Just the JR's gaming site that you have in front of you.
Amy,
No,
can we just approve this with the consent agenda? Okay. I don't have anything. We want to include the JR Bar gaming,
Site.
gaming site permit, I suppose it is, in the consent agenda. And do we have a motion to approve the minutes, pay the bills? Additions? So moved. Second,
second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, Brent Nelson. How much time do we allot you for this?
Short and sweet. Just gonna give you a little update. Basically, we started our flooding on Friday last week. Kind of when things started moving in the western part of the county. And every flood's different, and this is no exception to the rule because it's probably the first flood I've seen where most things melted out west before anything melted over in the eastern half of the county. I mean, here you had fields that were solid white yet, and there they were black. Kind of weird, so, Minto, initial crest anyway was at 9.25 feet. They're currently at 7.18, so they are falling. They flooded Sunday night into Monday morning. Hami Dam has had two crests already at 1081.64 and 1081.61. It comes over the spillway at 1080, so it's about a little more than a foot and a half over the spillway. It's currently at 1081.25 and currently falling again at the moment, so that's good. Also hit flood stage late last night. It's currently at 27.89 feet. Flood stage is 26. We closed the Schuster Bridge this afternoon. That's where the Forest River enters, and we're closing the Rasmussen Bridge, which is where the Park River enters the red. So those two tributary bridge roads are closed now because of the level. So far, the forecast for the Oslo for the red is the 35.2 feet. But that's as many days as they go out. It could still be slightly higher than that, but it looks like it might stay. Unless they reevaluate their curve as it gets there, it might stay at that 35.5 or a little bit less, which would be very good if we can keep it below that, because 35.5 is when it comes over the egg dikes and starts taking over the country. So if we can keep a crest below that, that would be beneficial for that area, but time will tell with more rain and snow in the forecast. So, and they're just starting to get some of the ones in the southern valley, the tributaries, so they're tweaking numbers all the time. So we'll see what they do. So far, we've had 23 plus road closings. That doesn't include a lot of township road closings because they haven't been reported. Some of the townships report them to us, some of them don't. There's also been a lot of township roads that probably should have been closed that didn't have signs on. I've been encouraging the townships to try to close them as much as they can, because there's been some roads that had a lot of water and they didn't have signs on them. So, about 338 yards of sand and 24,000 sandbags have been given out. Sunday night, we responded to the city of Forest River. We sandbagged 6 homes and 6 buildings, homes, and there's a couple shops there, machine shop. We put some sandbags. We only sandbagged around one house the whole way. The rest of them were partial sandbags just to divert the water from the buildings. So
Who actually did the sandbagging?
so that one, Minto, Grafton, and Gilby Fire Department responded, and then I also had about roughly 20 Mennonites that showed up that helped us. So
All volunteers.
all volunteers, yep. So, and myself, and we had 2 sheriff deputies, and Jason wandered over there eventually. So, but no, we had a good crew. We filled probably 2 to 2,500 sandbags. So there's still several there on pallets sitting there. So we'll have to decide what we're doing with them, or if we're just leaving them there, what we're doing. So, and about midnight, about 30, they put in Forest River, and then we moved to Minto and filled sandbags and placed them until about 2:30 in the morning. As the water was coming up Minto that night, and we're back in Minto at about 6:30, reinforcing some of those because it came up a lot higher than anybody was planning on it that night. So they were sandbagging some additional houses Monday morning and adding sandbags to the houses we'd sandbagged the night before. And that was basically the same group, except Gilby didn't come to Minto. So they came to Forest River, but Gilby Fire Department didn't come to Minto. So right now I call it the bubble is basically from US 80 on the Forest River, from US 81 to County Road 4. That's kind of where the bubbles moved, it's starting to decrease on the other side of that. There's still plenty of water out there, and on the Park River, it's kind of between County Road 6 and US 81 on the north and middle branches. As a general idea where the bubble is kind of moving through, where we're seeing a lot of overland and problems. So other than that, those are kind of the Minto and Forest River into 2 cities. We do have a few rural homes that have had some water issues.
Does everything on the north branch come through already, or is it still up there?
No, it's all up by now. The County Road 9 or a little bit farther.
Yeah, we just closed number 9 again right now before the meeting started because it was starting to go back over top of both lanes. We had it 1 lane most of the day, but County Road 6 is now completely open from Nash to 17, and then from all the way basically to Forest River, it's open all the way. Right outside of Forest River, there's still soft spots with 1 lane for about 100 yards. Other than that, number 6 is totally back up and running. Number 8 North Vestlaville is back open and operational,
Is South and Dustin open?
not yet.
Okay. So if I get phone
We
calls.
worked on 6.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking, so if I get phone, is there a plan to open it? Is it?
Yeah, we were hoping tomorrow, but with weather.
Yeah, okay.
The blades are out touching up spots for pieces that were underwater, addressing things. We got gravel going out there from our trucks too, so the guys got a lot reopened today.
About 19 west of Fort Sure.
That will take some time.
Okay.
That one washed all the way back
Yeah,
into the
that's what I thought.
last year, so we may reevaluate how we put that back together.
Okay.
So, but yeah, a lot of overland, a lot of breakup flooding, so, like I said, there's been a few farmsteads that have had some issues. Mostly because the overland stuff, it just came from different directions, and it came fast when it came, because it was, you know, it would move, and then like somebody pulled the plug in a bathtub, and it would just
Whoosh.
whoosh, and there was no time to really react or do anything different, and.
On a weekend again.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, weekends and overnight, that's.
Yeah.
And you
You
can,
know, I only like Sunday at 2 in the morning, that's always a good time.
you can talk to the people in Forest River and Minto both, and they say the water came where it never came before. And that's what happened, it comes from a different direction. Yeah,
We watched the coulee, John literally watched it coming, and then, you know, we had all this snow in our coulee, and you just,
Yeah,
it just spreads, like our boys were just worried because the water, you know, it just goes all in every direction coming close to the house until they broke up the snow and, yeah.
well, Sunday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, they still had Minto forecast for like 6 feet. Yeah. And there was really no concern in Forest River, I mean, cause it was actually coming down on 19 by Forest River, cause I decided to take a drive and just, you know, see what was going on down there, so I drove down 19, well, that water was slowly going down, and then, but then instead of going all the way back to 18, I tried to wander my way back. Which was an adventure by itself, but by the time I got back to 15 on a road and then into Minto, I'm going, no, this isn't gonna quit at 6, because there is literally, I mean, hundreds and thousands of gallons of water sitting here waiting to get into Minto, and so I called the weather service that night, and then they told them that they needed to look at Reed. Cause I didn't want Minto to be complacent, so they were.
I thought Larry.
And then when it did come, it still came way faster than, I mean, like I said, it's like somebody pulled the plug and it just. Because I know like at midnight, Minto, those headed back to Minto, and there was no water on the highway, and. When I started coming about 12:30, they told me I better start driving pretty fast or I won't get through 81, because it was coming out that fast.
When I talked to Larry Sunday, he called me and they usually use me as a gauge, and I said, it takes 2 to 3 days and it's past my place now. And I said, I think it's coming quicker, and it happened Sunday afternoon, I said, wow, yeah.
Yeah, it really started to move,
Yeah.
so.
Well, on behalf of the county, and just so we get it recorded, I'd like to thank you guys for the job you did and all the volunteers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've had a good volunteer response, so. You can't-
Yeah. I mean,
When we needed them, they've been there, so.
yeah,
I know when you called me on Sunday night and you were on your way to Forest River, all I could think is, oh, it's the last thing anybody wants to be doing on
Yeah.
a Sunday night, right?
And,
So thank you, appreciate that you were out and about and keeping a
Yeah,
good
no,
eye on it. All of you.
The main thing is when nobody got hurt, that's the main thing.
So, yeah, and there are, like I said, it's, so now our next battle will be the next couple days, there is, you know, depending on whose forecast you wanna look at, I mean, there could be 6 inches of snow on the ground again, and, you know, they're talking up to an inch of rain. Well, I should say an inch of rain, they're talking about an inch of precip,
Half an inch, 1 inch.
which would include some of that snow moisture, you know, so it just depends on whether we get snow or if we get rain or what we get
yeah,
out of it over the next 2 or 3 days.
I can't believe both, whether you watch 11 or Channel 8, those are my two, and I said, I can't believe the difference in the two.
Yeah, and then you start looking at some of these other weather sites,
Yeah.
and the National Weather Service, they all have a little bit of a different twist on. So, but wait till Saturday, I'll tell you the exact forecast.
Yep.
I'll have it down then, what we're gonna get, so.
You're either using a funnel or a spade or a shovel.
So, well, and hopefully, I mean, you know, I mean, I know everybody gets last year was an extreme year, but it's all different again, you know, the ground isn't, last year the ground was frozen solid.
The ground will take more
The ground
water.
will take a little bit more water, I was surprised last night when I drove up. Past Edinburgh and through there, I mean, there's not a lot of, I mean, the rivers are running. I think we're getting a lot of water from Cavalier County that's coming down yet through the river itself, but there wasn't a lot of water. You know, where you could see where the water had really ran off the field, you know, most of that was all gone, there's some very few spots where some of that was still running, so. So hopefully if we get some moisture, we can handle it and if it spreads it out over 3 days and gives everybody,
Yeah,
gives the river time instead of showing up in an hour or two, you know, then hopefully we'll be okay. So,
yeah,
now we're just waiting for the bubble to get to the Red River.
To the Red.
yeah, I feeling that's gonna be.
But
Mr. Chairman,
that's all.
Yeah,
I'd also like to take, or thank Brent and Jason for the work they're doing too. Saturday, I was busy with them, back and forth texting and talking on the phone and communicating, and they both did a good job. So I just wanted them to know that too.
all right, anything else?
No, that's all I have. Unless somebody else has got a question for me.
Believe it or not, and I think I told you guys, I got a couple phone calls to thank you guys and the way we handle things, so there's people that are grateful.
Oh. Yep.
Great teamwork.
Yep.
No, it's, we got, Jason and I talk all the time, back and forth, text or phone calls, and I've been visiting with. When we need to worry about checking on somebody's safety or checking some stuff, but he's sent a deputy to check on things if I don't have time to. You know, we don't have time to drive over and look at something, he's sent somebody to check on it for us, so.
If you guys ever wanna call me again on Sunday night when you're in the pickup together, so I can talk to both of you, don't.
All right, we can find more documents.
Sadly, we're getting well experienced.
Yeah.
No, no, that's all I have, so.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank
And
you.
then, if I have the floor for just a second, I'd like to thank Chris for her time she's been here and for the work she's done with my department and me over the years. So I've enjoyed working with her, so I know it's your last meeting, so good luck in retirement. Maybe someday I'll get there. Too many weren't floods, it'll be sooner than, they're getting old, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brent.
Oh, I'm gonna head out, so I'm gonna,
Yep.
it's been a long week, so.
Good.
Right now, before the rain and snow come.
Get some rest.
Yep.
Thanks, Brent.
Yep, thank you, Karen.
First thing is, we got waited, we had a couple of house cleaning matters for our bridges, we need to take care of them for that. Well,
So for the 3 that we are gonna bid in June, we have to get some temporary right away and just small slivers of permanent right away. So we have to do market analysis, there's the process of following the DOT, forms and everything, so. Did a market analysis looking at past sales, for the 26 and County Road 8 ones. The estimate was 5,200 per acre for permanent, and then the temporary is 10% of that, so it'd be 520. And the one by Portville came in at 4,400 per acre, and so temporary would be 440. So basically, that's the value per acre that's used. We're getting like hundredths of an acre. So there's a minimum in DOT's manual and century code. So that's 600 for permanent, 300 for temporary. That's pretty much the limit on all these. So, but we still have to have a motion to approve the waiver valuation for the 2, or for the 3 sites, I guess.
So that, explain it maybe to Amy, that's more or less the land you're gonna use while building.
Yeah, so temporary is basically stuff where if you have to put a dike across the river, to put in a box culvert, we go out on their land, that's the temporary stuff. We have to get permanent for like any areas where we have riprap. That's usually the extent of what gets outside of existing right away, it's just riprap or. You know, getting a ditch to the curb where it's supposed to be. So if we permanently impact any of it, we have to buy the right of way. So, like I said, it's usually, less than 1/10 of an acre. So it ends up being that minimum of the 600, so. I guess if you have any other questions, I only brought 1 copy of them, but I have a full market analysis where the sales that they use for comparative land and stuff like that, so. If we can get a motion and approve it, that'd be all we need, and we're meeting with landowners starting tomorrow, and I think in the next couple of weeks, we should have.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
All 3 of them then?
Yeah, yep, and move forward.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Now we'll call for the vote, Chrissy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried.
Can I get a copy of something from somebody?
You can have this one. So, this is the Portville one, and then these ones were, close enough, you can see that both of the County 8 and County 6 sites are the same.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just, yeah, any other updates? We got, the plans are submitted, so they should be, on schedule for June. It's like the first Friday in June, I think, when they'll be bid. So hopefully, hopefully get some good prices and we'll get some bridges being built.
When is the Porterville ones? What's our guess on that? Was it this fall?
Well, so that's, it'll bid in June, and then it's really anybody's guess on when the contractors will actually go.
Yeah.
They are doing a temporary bypass on it, and that can complicate things, it can make it easier and complicate it, because during a flood like this, it was like they're gonna wash it out, which causes problems for them, so they might wait and start after the flood. But we have a completion date of 2024 for that one, and then we did, the aluminum options for County Road 8 and County Road 6, and we have a stipulation that if we go with the aluminum ones, they have to be built in 23. So it might bring the prices up, but that was, you know, kind of the intent of doing those options. So we'll see what they come in at, I guess. It'll be the first one that's bid through the state, so there's a lot of people watching next.
So when you say gotta be done in 23, the culverts have to be built?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they have to be installed.
Oh, okay, let's do that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, the intent was that, you know, box culverts are supposedly booked out till 24. And so getting the aluminum ones, you can actually get something replaced rather than waiting another year, so. So, yeah, and they're trying to make things more complicated where, if projects are considered inactive, like if we bid them and we can't get boxes in time, then they're inactive for more than a year, then you have a chance of, like DOT could potentially lose some of their funding, so. If you can't get them, they want you to push it later in the fall, so we actually lucked out that we already had options, because if you have options that are required to be bid or completed in 23, they're fine bidding them, so. That worked out in our favor on this one, so.
So DOT would have lost their funding, we would have lost our funding, which then we got a big problem.
So more rules and regulations, just to cover it.
But,
It's being pushed on them from above, so.
Yeah.
but yeah, so if there's any questions on any of the stuff, how it's going, or questions on any of the equipment stuff. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, that's all I had. You want to stick around?
Yeah, no, I think we're good from there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, stay dry, everyone.
Thank you.
But I guess the first thing I have is bring back the permit for request from Jeremy Fricky from last week's delayed meeting. The water board signed off on it earlier this afternoon. So just looking for your signatures for the approval. With the old approach, I looked at it a little bit more. You can see a definite break in between where County 6 is and where that old approach was. So we'll be able to make sure that they won't be accessing or touching anything on County 6. And we'll be making sure personally that they don't go and touch anywhere close to that bank for the south branch of the Park River. So that I don't want anything disturbing that piece, because if we disturb that, then it could cost us a bridge.
Do you have an original for signatures or?
Isn't that the one? Thought that was the one that they signed.
You have it in front of you then?
There's no,
No, you
point
have
right here.
it.
Different place.
Yeah, because that's the one we said to get the water board approval before we do, yeah.
This is B, County 6 culvert removal permit, is that what this one? On the agenda?
I think, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was confused on it too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being on my agenda, because we, after a meeting earlier this week, it was.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve Jeremy Fricky's, drainage permit, I guess you call
I'll move to approve the drainage permit.
it? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? No, call for the vote, Amy,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes,
Christie,
Yes,
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
The other one I apparently forgot to bring up this from my desk is the permit that you should have gotten in your packet. For a request from Nodak Electric for a boring. I don't see any issues with what they're looking at doing. I'd have to go get a signature on that one. It's just one of their standard electrical cooperative borings and for line access. Believes on 12.
I'll make a motion to approve the Nodak Electric Cooperative Utility Permit.
Yeah, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second,
Further discussion? Now we'll call for the vote. Christie, yep, Karen?
yes,
So, yes, motion carried. You have that,
I'll have to grab it for a signature. Wow. Got it. It's sitting right on my desk, so. The last one I had is for an update on our positions that we have open right now. We have seasonal positions, I had 3 people that are coming back from last year, so that's a good help. A couple of them might have some friends to bring with, which is help, but they're not saying that they're coming yet, so we still have a couple of positions. Also looking past Tanya to take a look to see if we can hire somebody younger than 18 for helping Mickey around the courthouse, because we are getting nobody to apply for any position we have open. Including our full-time position for an operator, trucker, or with the bridge / road crew for our full-time FTEs. We have no applications for anything, so Tanya was gonna put it up in some things, it's back in the paper again, it's been on Indeed, or I haven't got anything, I'll redo that once it goes back out there again. But any comments I'm getting is we don't pay enough.
I noticed in the paper, there's nothing about benefits. Did I misread that?
I thought the benefits were, well, we just redid it again too, where we put the full pay scale in there so people could see what that was, but I thought the benefits was on it, I'll double check.
Would you check that? I'm pretty sure there wasn't unless I'm looking at a different position, but I thought, oh,
Well, there's no
that's on
benefits
benefits.
on the part-time position,
No, right,
there wouldn't be benefits.
there wouldn't be benefits on
Right.
that, but would you just double check
I'll
that
double
on
check
that?
the maintenance one, but I thought it was.
Okay. So on the part-time one.
Yeah.
Are we to the point, and I don't know, because we've, Bonnie is over there and whatever, are we to the point where maybe we gotta look at a full-time just to get somebody to do it and take care of more responsibility? I'm just asking. I don't know where we are with this. I don't think we're gonna get a part-time, but yet if we could, can we do some more to validate a part or full-time? I don't know.
From me,
Huh?
How you gonna pay for it?
Well, that's,
well,
That's benefits if we go full time.
right, and that's a question that I'm starting to look into on it. One of the things that I was thinking, if we were to make it a full-time position, that right now we pay people to do mowing in Adams, we pay people to mow at the Lincoln shop, we both pay people to mow the extension.
yeah,
We have
and
a
that's,
contract for mowing here, so we could empty those up, go to a full-time position. We pay somebody for cleaning at extension. We've asked through channels if that person be interested in coming over and doing more. The answer has been a no. So, I mean, if we had took those, just for the mowing of Lincoln and Adams, it's $1,500 last year. We looked that up.
a piece
Total. So, and that's half a month's salary possibly, depending on what we're paying for stuff, it's $1,500 and the mowing contract here, working with Mickey. I can't remember how much we were paid for the extension for cleaning, the contract for the cleaning over there is like $8,000 a year. So there's little pieces that add up, but it's still.
You won't get to us in the full, yeah. And that's the trouble, nobody wants a part-time job, the old retirees or whatever, nobody wants it.
I know we've discussed it before, but
Yeah.
we've got a captive labor force sitting across the street. Well, I mean, isn't there some kind of work release program or something that we could use to rehabilitate some?
Well, they used to go out and work, the public would then come back in and stuff, but I don't know, legalities now and stuff, I wonder if
To
we
me, the
can.
problem would be is you'd have to take one of your full-time employees to sit and.
yep,
I agree, you get work out of them, that'd be awesome, Denny, but you're still gonna take up another employee to monitor, right?
I don't know how. That'd be something we have to discuss, Ron. I think there's probably insurance and other different things to it too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know, and Ron has been in on the discussion, but
Yeah.
it's just,
The trouble is if we don't find somebody part-time and everything else, we're just gonna burn Mickey out too.
One.
Already is.
I was gonna say, I
To that point where I'm telling her you need to go home.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
she just kind of looks at me, she says, I said, it'll be here tomorrow, you need to go home.
yeah,
cause I caught her in the hallway and that's where I got the vibes a little bit. You could see that.
Yeah. So,
unless you think there's, a high school kid or something that would
There's one.
fight on that.
that's part of our problem, if there's some mold, they have to be 18. This would be touch more, you have to be 18, and for the highway department, for most of the people that we employ, you have to be 18 to work for us. It'd be great if I could hire a bunch of 17 or 16-year-old kids and bring them up through and keep them for.
Yeah.
So if we're not doing asphalt anymore, what are all the summer part-time help people doing?
Crack sealing, mowing, wood chip, bridges, signs.
Okay, I thought that they did a lot of,
No, last year we didn't do any chip seals, but they were still busy for everything. Sometime at Hami, there's lots of mowing around and debris cleanup and right away, so we do on our bridges and stuff that are backlog done. So,
We met with Jason last week and we just told him that we sort of want a list of gravel roads, bridges and everything else so we can be more proactive. So that's hopefully what we can do is start doing some of that and getting some of this under control.
Danny, what about outsourcing it again? Remind me, you talked to this Johnny? His company?
I have not talked, Johnny has talked about bidding stuff for us in the past for floor and different things. Right now we have a floor and bid out. I haven't heard back anything from anybody on that one.
The cleaning guy though?
Yeah, he's the same person.
Oh, okay. I mean, he does a good job. Like, I personally think outsourcing and sometimes is the way you have to go, because it's their specialty, it's what they do, that's all they do. I mean, even if you have to pay them a little more, I don't know that finding someone cleaning and mowing is realistic in terms of it's not always.
The
Easy.
cleaning is still a budgetary issue, paying more for that, we still got a budget issue, we're doing that.
The trouble is,
I think lawn care around town, I mean, yeah, there's somebody.
the trouble is, those guys that do that job are getting their plates full and how much can they do? That's the trouble.
Well, he
And I
still was
agree.
open to doing it, so that's what I'm saying is trying to get him. I mean, our office has been happy with what he, out of the farm, I know my husband has been very happy compared to what they had before. And then we haven't been paying someone else for how long now, with just Mickey there. You've been short for,
For the beginning of this year, but that doesn't make, you also have issues where some of the parts of the buildings that we have people cleaning, there are security type paperwork and different things for it, where different rooms, Mickey's still gonna have to go and do portions of those rooms, I mean, Chase Building, all those offices, Mickey will still have to go in there to do those. You know, I don't see it putting contracted labor work into areas with restricted information.
Yeah, we're the one who got.
Bonnie's used to. Bonnie's used to cleaning all those offices over there.
Depends who you talk to.
Oh, okay, well, yes, okay, so
Yeah, well,
my comment would be that. Are these people willing to travel? I mean, would they go to Park River and to Grafton?
absolutely. They come from St. Paul. I just don't know why we wouldn't look into it. I mean, from a perspective of. You know, if he's full, then we're back to square one, and so there are not a lot of options. Bonnie's is done and.
Based on what I hear is being done at the extension office, and I've heard it for years. My recommendation would be you replace that individual with the money you'd be. He doesn't put in enough time for the paycheck he's getting, in my opinion.
Well, from
You
what
could technically maybe hire-
That's my employee.
Hmm?
I just found out that that's my employee. I didn't realize he was my employee because of that extension, so.
The extension is their own little beast, and
Yeah.
it gets forgotten sometimes, but. You could take that salary and spread it around, cause,
And I think Katie would be on board with that. We'd have to have a conversation with her, but.
and I'm sure Katie would.
And they're out of St. Cloud.
Ecstatic.
I don't know where he lives, but he goes, I've seen him in Park River. I've seen he has a van. I mean, they travel.
Last year when he came in and asked me about bidding on projects, he said he was in Park River. So I think you gotta
Check it out with them.
ban through Angel, the JDA.
Yeah.
You know that the extension office has been an issue for.
Many,
ongoing.
many years.
So this just might be the time to,
Yeah.
Yep. Check into it.
And has Katie been the one mowing there? Did she
Yeah.
tell me that? And I don't think that's gonna continue. No. We're changing role,
it
so,
shouldn't anyway.
No,
right, so,
Katie's done it under the cognizance of her heart.
right, so that's gonna
Well,
change too.
He's been paid for the mowing there, but yeah, I understand she's doing it for the sake of it being done.
Yep.
They were also mowing the other properties we had to take over in Bird River, so.
Well, check into that. I mean, yeah, I'm all for hiring it out, contracted instead of hiring, but. Yeah, we gotta do what we gotta do.
Other than that, the only other thing that isn't on my agenda is flood related, is we did lose one bridge. So we're 2 floods from under me and 2 bridges. So the west end of the bridge completely washed out, still connected to the abutment, but it's dropped about a foot and a half, 2 feet. Still as of yesterday, it was still sitting in the river without dropping fully off. So
Just to let you know, you don't have to bat 1,000, you can.
I would prefer to bat 0.
Where is this bridge?
It is in Fertile Township.
West of Penny Service.
It's a sightseeing adventure that people really need to stay on. We have lots of people in this county that still think that the road closed doesn't mean anything to them. To the point where I had a gentleman closing a road yesterday. He went in to get into his pickup after he put up a barrier and had a car fly by him at 55. You do that, I'm calling the sheriff's department, and guess what? They caught somebody immediately after doing that. I have really starting to lose my patience with people driving around the road closed barriers. They're there for a safety reason. Someone drives around the road closed barrier and goes and hits that bridge, they're not coming back. It's their safety. There's a reason why we do these things. And we close Forest River. I understand it wasn't as bad as last year, and they drive through them. But they don't know what's not underneath
What's under
that
the
water,
water.
especially at night. And I'm really tired of it. And we preached it last year, and it doesn't matter. But at some point in time, someone's going to die.
Jason? Were you at that bridge on Sunday when those 2 4-wheelers and that John Deere side-by-side were at the bridge there?
No,
Okay, because there was a white pickup and some young kids there, and I'm like, oh goodness. I think there needs to be something more than just that one sign. And I know people can drive down the ditch too with their 4-wheelers, but yeah, that is a dangerous place, and it's just gonna get worse there with that bridge maybe caving in.
well, Fertile Township has barricades at the end of it. They put them up from stuff they have, but there's still the aspect of people driving around things that are put there for their safety.
Yeah,
Which brings me to a point of this summer that I'll put out there right now. When we're out crack sealing, if somebody comes through and we have one near miss, when we're out there cleaning or crack sealing one lane, I have no problems, and I have given my construction crews the green light to close the mile of road that they're working on and make people find a detour. My people are coming home at night. I'm not having it. I'm not even gonna play this year. As soon as one person drives through and it goes a little bit faster on their cell phone, that road is closed. So my staff comes home, period.
yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we as a county, can we put a fine on these people going, and I mean, make a stiff fine? You cross these bridges, it's nothing's working. You've come here how many years and we've put up signs on bridges, they're going around them. To me, I don't know what our legality is or anything else. Let's start fining them $1,000 if they go past it. And if it hurts bad enough, they'll quit, because nothing is working right now, and it's about the safety or losing somebody.
I don't know if we can go above the century
Well,
code,
that's why I'm asking,
but
Yeah.
that's on question.
Yep.
I don't know.
because it's, we've been here 2 years and Sharon, it's getting worse. It ain't getting better.
And with cell phones, you see people, I mean, I was at conferences last week and there were people talking about, well, you can drive down the road and you'll see people reading a newspaper. And actually saw a vehicle, reading the newspaper, and the guys that were in the vehicle with me to go out to Bismarck said it, so, yeah, he does it every time. You see him constantly doing it. There's people that, there was a gentleman that caused an accident on a job site, and he was watching a video on his cell phone. It wasn't here, it was in Minnesota, but he was watching a video on his cell phone on the steering wheel, thinking there's no problem with that.
You see semi guys doing that now on interstate. I followed one the other day and he was crossing through both sides. And when we passed, I said, dude, you look up and see if he's got his phone on the steering wheel. Yep.
Well, that's a law enforcement deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's that one. The other thing I have to look at is the picture I sent up and dropped off Robbie today. We have somebody that is pretty blatantly strapped. What I can see in the picture is 7 tires together and drop them in front of the county culvert to try and plug it. You cannot obstruct.
What would their
These
reason be
drains.
for that?
So they don't get flooded.
Yeah, but it's gonna go over and top the road, and they're gonna get flooded anyway.
It did flood the road.
Yeah.
Where that spot, in
Yeah.
that area. So, we have rumors of who it is. But I need to verify,
Yeah,
to prove it, but, this type of stuff. If they're caught, they need to be prosecuted. Before they do further damage, as far as I'm concerned, so. But, so with that, if you guys don't have any other questions for me, I think I've covered everything I had for you tonight.
well, you've got reclaimer on here.
Well, from our conversation that we had, that we were talking about dropping
Dropping
it,
it.
so.
Okay.
You look down the road and you see it, the gravel all the way down there, it'd be nice to have something longer, but we talked about dropping that, so.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
When did you have that conversation? Where was I?
It was,
We met with him.
yeah, it was a different meeting with Denny and so we just dropped that. Was already on my agenda, so we're still there.
You do have a reclaimer still, though, correct?
We have
Just
small
not as long.
amounts on the tractor.
Tractor.
And if it wasn't for the flood, it would probably been out this week. But all the guys are in trouble.
Like on 19, there were some of these, I mean, you're gonna have to bring a tracker when to bring that stuff back up, aren't you?
Yeah, we did like last year, so.
Flooded area.
Yeah, so last year was a combination between our excavators and the Bobcat,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll end up doing the same thing this year. Yep, we just got, after 6 months, we got our mini excavator back on Monday. We had them deliver it because I couldn't justify sending anybody out to get it with everything we had going on, but. We finally got it back from repair, so we have it available to us, which is nice.
I guess being the flood and everything, I'd like to thank Jake, and he's pretty much kept us in for contact and everything else, and I told him the other night I was sick of his voice, but at least he's keeping us up. And I probably relayed the message and everything too, but thank you.
You're welcome. Trust me, I'd much prefer not to be begging you after 4 o'clock.
When you hire onto this position,
Yeah.
no clue that this is, how far this is gonna go, it's,
I expect some of it, there's a lot of it, I don't.
When he called me 10:30 Sunday night, I knew he wasn't asking me to go to the Dairy Queen.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Welcome.
Tanya,
So I asked Chris to place the county administrative position on the agenda. We have 19 individuals that expressed interest in the position. That means I have 19 resumes. However, we specifically stated in the advertisement that we wanted a resume and the county application completed. So I do not have 19 county applications. I have 4 that completed the application in time without having to be asked for it. I have a 5th one that submitted a partial application, and I did notify that individual that I was missing a page and I never received the 2nd page. And we have a 5th one that I do have a completed application, or a 6th one, excuse me, where I do have a completed application. However, I had to ask for that. So early on, I was getting all these resumes through Jobs HQ and not any applications. And so I thought, okay, is there something going on with the system? Are they not realizing that we also need, but I went back later and no, the ad states we need an application. So early on, I was replying individually to every one of them saying, please be aware, I need to have a completed county application in order for you to be considered. So I was following up with several at the beginning. I stopped doing it because I don't think that's the kind of person we want if they can't follow that direction, the directions anyway. So I did not do that to all. But one of them then, so a sixth one, I do have an application, but it was one that I did have to ask for. So I do have it in hand, but, so 6, if you want to be really, you know, generous, I have 6 applications, one's a partial, 4 that are fully completed, submitted as requested.
When was that deadline?
Friday. Yep. So we haven't discussed it, you haven't discussed at the board level, how you want to proceed with this. We don't have a, you know, panel or kind of, you haven't really discussed the next steps. If you look at positions of this magnitude, you know, of this importance, it's pretty common for us to include a team of sorts, right? To look at this from a broader perspective. So I was brainstorming it, trying to kind of figure out how we might want to proceed with this. I think it would be great to maybe consider the 2 other elected officials that you have in the county, because they do have pretty significant departments, and perhaps 2 department heads and 2 commissioners as a starting committee. I think if you have a committee to do some of the legwork and screen the applications, maybe conduct an initial round of interviews, then perhaps you would bring a second round of interviews to the commission as a whole. You are obviously the deciding authority on all of this. And so if you want to do it differently, it's your right to do so. But I was just thinking that maybe that would be a nice way to start with the screening process. I do have a list here, and Karen, I apologize, I'll send you this list as well. Before I hand this out, realize these names are confidential, because until we have 3 finalists identified, all of the applicants are confidential, okay? So I do have the list of all the resumes that I received. The ones with check marks by them are the ones that, where I received everything as requested, okay? So you'll see that. I think that an initial committee, you know, to do some of the legwork might be an efficient way to screen and perhaps conduct some interviews. Ultimately, I feel like you as commissioners are gonna wanna have an interview with, you know, either 1 or 2 final candidates before any final decisions are made, right? And I think that we've said all along, it's really important for us to find the right person. And so I think we have to always keep an open mind and not feel, even though Chris's end date is looming, I really feel it's important to not rush this process and not just hire it for the sake of hiring or fill it, right, for the sake of filling it. So I really want to, I want this to be a pretty thorough process, right? And make sure that we have the right fit before we fill it with somebody just having it built. So. Any questions for me or any thoughts on this?
Well, my-
feedback?
Mr. Chairman, my first thought is if they could not complete the full application properly, we do not want to consider them. This is a big position. You have to be detail oriented. So I feel those should be weeded out right away. And then just look at the 4 applications, the 4 individuals that did complete it properly.
I don't disagree.
I even feel like from being at the JDA meeting, Mary Hodek was saying, she goes, I don't even know if some of these are people. You know, like if they send in, or some of them, even for that, they look glorious, almost too good to be true. And so, you know, I agree. I think that it's important to look who's put the work in initially, read through the ad and done the right. That's what we want, so. I agree.
Right, and the 4 that I have checkmarked are ones that directly contacted me from their personal email. You know, I have direct contact with them, and for all of them, I replied and I acknowledged that I had received, you know. So they all received I should have received an acknowledgement from me. But then they didn't, like I said, I asked for a follow-up and they didn't acknowledge it. Several of them didn't even acknowledge it, so. And you know what, I'm looking at this, I think there's this last one, second to bottom, I think I've been misspeaking. I think there's actually 5. So I apologize because that second to bottom one came in and I just found her information in my junk box yesterday, but it came in on Friday. So she had it submitted on time. So I prepared this list for you on Friday. So in my brain, the number was 4. It's 5. So
So that was
allow me to correct myself.
cover letter included on that one?
Yep, everything was submitted correctly for that one. So it's 5. 5 is the number. And you'll see, I have the X's there, of course, you know, so you can kind of see that yourself too, but I was just being misleading by saying 4.
Devil's advocate, I always like doing it. If we go through the process and we feel like one's maybe capable of an auditor and we don't find anybody but administrator, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you.
I'm just asking.
Right? You advertised it as auditor / administrator, right? If you don't find a suitable candidate for that position, you either choose to re-advertise for that position, or I say you re-advertise for the auditor, because perhaps you would have other people, if you decided to go back to the drawing board and say,
Yep.
let's fill it as auditor, I feel like you need to repost it. Even if you just reposted it for 2 weeks, I do feel like you need to repost it, because in my mind, we added, you know, a significant piece to that pie when we put an administrator on that plate, and so we might have a different pool, right? I do think at a glance, there's some candidates that, you know, might be really suitable for the auditor position, and I don't know about the administrator, you know, we'll have to explore it further. I simply skimmed them. I didn't do an official screening because I didn't feel like it was necessarily my duty to do that. I have looked at them, but I also don't feel like it's my duty alone. There needs to be a committee to do that. So there needs to be some collective input on the screening process. So I was, like I said, just kind of brainstorming, thinking that because this position will work so closely with all the department heads and the other elected officials, I just think it's important to have their input. You know, if you have somebody in the end that you think might be a suitable candidate, then those players that are involved in that process of hiring them are gonna be much more on their team from day one, you know, because they're gonna have seen that from the beginning of the process. So I just think it'll help the whole transition, and being that it's a brand new position as well, I think that there's bound to be some bumpiness to the transition, right? So it just might help smooth it a little bit, is my thought.
Well, any volunteers?
Well, first, are we looking at setting it up with the 2 elected officials, the 2 department heads, 2 commissioners? I like that idea.
Mhm.
I would definitely volunteer, since second floor is my portfolio.
And I'd like to do it because I guess I've been a big advocate of it. I'd like to see it, so, since nobody else minds, I talked to Christie about it too, if they needed somebody to do it, so. Up to you, but I'd sure like to be on it.
No, that's all good.
And I think, I would propose to a timetable, you know, from a perspective of we did this yesterday or in a couple weeks. So from a perspective of, you know, maybe just proactively looking at what's the next steps, getting that done by this date, getting your interview, you know, just staying really on top of the process.
I actually did talk to Tanya about if there was any way possible, we could even get interviews scheduled by Friday, you know. for
This
Friday.
week.
This week.
Yep.
Are
Great
any of
idea.
these, are any of these like have to travel, or are they far away, or are they pretty close to, and I agree with you, Chris, just,
There is a little bit of travel, in particular for one of them,
okay,
a couple hours
okay. But it's
away, but not like different
like
states.
flights or stays, yeah,
No,
okay.
No, it might, you know, it's Tuesday evening, I can do my best. The question though that I would have before we think about the interview process is, I feel like those that are on the panel then, or that committee, need to receive all of them and determine if we feel like we want to proceed with the who are we interviewing even, you know? So I feel like I could give a really short, put a lot of pressure on everybody, short turnaround time for the screening piece of it, so that we have an interview, you know, panel or interview group identified, and then schedule them as soon as possible. So,
And maybe beginning of next week.
Maybe
is
early
a little
next week.
more feasible, you know,
Right.
by Friday, that doesn't really give somebody time to even prepare.
well, the screening piece of it is the part that I feel like it's not, I mean, 5 of them, 5 is, maybe we wanna do all 5, I don't know, but I just feel like the committee needs to lay eyes on those and know if it's something, you know, that's even a good fit or not to move to the interview stage, so. I feel like that's an important step. And then, yeah, we could move ahead with planning on interviews early next week right away, at the latest, I agree.
Who are the two other elected officials, remind me?
So, the sheriff and state's attorney, so it'd be Ron and Kelly, okay? And so these are the only two positions, those are the only two department heads, right, that would not technically answer to this position, of course, because they're elected, you know, so it would be those two.
Being it's your portfolio, you two just wanna get together and pick 2 department heads then? Or see who, you know, maybe you'll have to ask for volunteers too.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with you guys picking 2.
I'm fine with that, and
Yeah.
then if maybe somebody isn't available, then we need to go on to the next person.
Sure, yeah,
And weather might be an interesting, I mean, it sounds like you're gonna be pushing interviews out till maybe next week anyways, but I don't know. You know, even if it's that initial touch point for that person that's farther away.
sure, yeah,
There's-
that's true,
I
yeah.
think we'd have to.
That weather's all over.
Yeah.
One says 6 inches, one says 2 inches, one says barely anything, so.
Yeah, it's very much a wild card, I agree.
I also do the idea of a second round of interviews and with all the commissioners.
Definitely,
Yep.
yeah.
We can all get blamed for picking the wrong one.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman. I think a good suggestion to be on there would be, Ed. He's got a pretty high position and he's been the longest one in there now. And then, I don't know, maybe Sandra. I'm just throwing that out there because I know you guys probably will talk about it and I wouldn't be around, but, either one of those, just a suggestion. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, we'll have to be careful with that, but with the farming season,
Mhm.
you know, and we'd have a couple weeks, we hope we would, but
Yeah,
that. Yeah. And I agree, Ed would be good.
I would like, this is, in my mind, pretty urgent, right? I feel like we really wanna push this through as quickly as possible, so hopefully we're gonna have some sort of answers prior to Ed thinking of being in the field. but,
Right,
you
yeah,
know,
and I get it.
Especially if we end up getting this weather that they're predicting this week, but, yeah.
Anything else?
Christie, do we have we don't have any updates on the retired, I would guess that would have been.
Right, I was just gonna get my notes here.
On the what?
The retired auditor, like what our plan is and then.
Oh,
Interim.
Right, so I reached out to Aaron Burke. I had not heard back from him since our last meeting, so I reached out to him. He didn't have any luck. So. Visited with, we haven't been able to think of someone that would be able to step up and not be able to step up, but be willing to do this, so we have not come up with anyone. So we did visit with Sandra today. She is ready to do as much as she can. She said it's going to be difficult because there's quite a bit of training with the Tyler software system. But she is willing. So I guess that's the route we go for now, unless we can think of someone else to help her. We're also going to be talking to the other departments to see if they can step in and help out wherever, you know, she mentioned delinquent tax, things like that.
That she could let go to be
Right.
able to do.
And Chris has already sort of tried to have some of those discussions about asking the other department heads, so that, I mean,
did you see
Yeah.
that email from Ed that he said his office or whatever, they can help and moving forward if,
I don't
If they
know if I
could.
can say that, okay, that's, yeah.
yeah, I think all his commissioners got it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he said if his office can help or anything, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah,
We're receiving offers of
Yeah,
help.
so that's good, I mean.
yeah,
Um,
it is good, yeah, I think we got a great team, so it's just that there's certain things that, you know, maybe they can't do even, so I think that they all know that on the floor better than any of the rest of us, so. And those conversations are happening.
So now that we're moving forward with Tyler at the same time, and it couldn't have been worse timing doing it, is there another county close that's got Tyler that we can call to help if we do?
Chris would be able to answer that better than I can, I know
We should
the
probably look
information is
into it.
available, but I
There
don't know.
are lots of counties that have Tyler and some of them are, they're in the system as willing to be mentors.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, so we got some names so we can call if we run into trouble.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know who all is Tyler, who whatever, but
right,
The other thing that we discussed with the interim is that, Sandra and Angie would report to me as far as needing leave or comp time. They may have to work comp time, especially those weeks when they have a whole week long session of training, they have to have time to get their work done, so. they'll be discussing that with me as portfolio holder, if you guys are okay with that. And then Chris mentioned emails, you know, she gets a lot of emails, and we were discussing, Tanya and I discussed. We want those emails to come through, we don't want to bombard Sandra and Angie, because Chris mentioned that she gets a lot of emails that are, I don't want to say junk emails, but junk emails.
Right.
So what we talked about, I believe Tanya suggested it, just leaving Chris's email open for now, for the time being, and set up a out of office reply. So when somebody emails her, it'll just be an out of office reply that, you know, they can reach out to Sandra or Angie.
Yeah, just direct them to somebody else that might be able to help them. That way, if it's somebody, you know, a legit person who needs something, they're gonna then reach out,
Yeah.
so.
Right, and the junk email, they're not gonna use.
Right, right.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So,
Ever think-
so I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Will there be someone already there that will be able to help the new person or whatever, like right before budget time? Because that is the big thing right there to learn, I'm assuming, you know, with all the different, you know, numbers and categories, whatever those are called. Does Sandra know some of that stuff, Chris?
Well, I mean, she can print out budgets and stuff, but as far as working with it, no.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
My hope would be that they team up with another county and, you know, work with an auditor in another county,
uh-huh,
you know, kind of like find a mentor.
yep,
Similar to what Sherry's been doing with the treasurer's office, they get a group. There's mentors out there and they can email them and call them
And especially with the tax software program, I think that might be really helpful, you know, to have a mentor who's using the same software program, so.
Well, and there's the auditors group. Once you're an
Yeah.
auditor, you get thrown into that group. We get emails every day of a new auditor asking questions. How do I do this? Where do I find that?
right.
Pretty good support.
They're pretty good support group.
Good,
And
yeah.
Linda, Lisa, our locals are always
Yeah.
good. I mean, they all have different software, but they're always willing to answer questions.
Could you maybe on your desk, leave a note of, you know, people that you feel would be good to contact? I just think that would be so helpful as a new manager coming in to see a note that, hey, we think she'd be a good contact or she's offered to mentor.
Label at our top 10.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully Sandra would then direct, you know, for how them to get into that auditor group and just to connect into
Yep.
that and with HR side of it too, you know, just to make sure they're set up right, because you'll still get those emails to your inbox, but they wouldn't come to the new person per se without effort.
Right.
And then I end up, leaving a list of, a laundry list.
You're gonna have to, I think.
I just,
honestly,
I
yeah.
just think that, you know.
Absolutely.
I mentioned to Brent, you know, paying his $50,000 that. For the siren, we agreed to pay for it out of county general. Well, I mentioned it to him this year and he said, well. That was approved after budgets and he didn't budget for it, so does he really pay it this year or do we wait till next year? You know, all these
Little things.
little things.
I think a laundry list is an excellent idea.
So.
We need that. And then Chris, we also talked about that she is going to leave us a list of things that she feels that Sandra or Angie wouldn't necessarily be able to take care of.
Yeah.
In case this drags out too long. I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping we can fill the position quickly, but if we can't, and we have to wait for that right person.
yep.
Yeah, it could be.
Mhm.
Who knows?
We don't know, yeah,
Yes, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I was waiting for,
Were you waiting for the next thing? Well, let me put my glasses on.
The next bullet.
I think we covered everything. Chris, can you think of anything else or Tanya?
No, I don't think so. No, I just think that your surrounding auditors are gonna be a great resource, honestly. I mean, in the interim, I think that they're gonna help us figure things out, carry the load. Every county is really unique, but we all do enough of the same things that we can, you know, trudge our way through something. I'm not, you know. I think it'll be fine.
I sure hope so.
I guess, me and we're talking about it, the auditor position, I'd like to thank you, Chris, for all your service. I worked with you as portfolio for her and everything, and it's a thankless job sometimes and everything else, but sometimes we forget to say thank you, so thank you and enjoy retirement.
Thank you. Ditto. Thank you very much.
Yes. Retirement party on the 28th. Is that when it is? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
to whenever.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
They have a plan in place.
You might wanna clarify your bedtime, because Todd might put it in the paper.
I don't think he got that.
Oh.
So we'll see.
How often do you lose two people in the, I don't know, retire, I should, lose is the wrong word, but two people on the same day?
Yeah, big, like, long-term employees, like,
Exactly.
really long-term employees,
Big
department heads.
position.
It's
Yeah, big
big
shoes to fill.
positions, is right, yeah. Very big position, so.
Anything else?
I don't have anything further, if you don't need, I don't think.
Brahman's probably gonna come back and want to go to work again. I think he's in Rome or someplace now with his wife for what,
Is he?
14 days. They were mentioning yesterday, I said, when he comes back, he might want his job back. Cause I bet you they haven't spent time like that together in a long time.
He was looking forward to the German beer, so.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought of something. Can I bring this up? Tanya has prepared a uniform timesheet
Oh.
for everyone to use. So everybody had been kind of doing their own thing. All the different departments were doing a little bit of different ways of keeping track of time, and Tanya prepared a uniform timesheet for all employees.
It was long overdue. We should have done this a long, long time ago, but, and I've been really swamped. There's a lot going on right now. You guys are keeping me really busy, and so is a couple other places keeping me really busy. So it was my intention to have it out early April, and I literally just got it out today, so it didn't. Other fires were bigger, but, yeah, it's my hope then that we chose not to do the executive time, because it was just too much of an investment. But my hope is that we can still achieve some consistency by having a timesheet. I still have to finalize the departments that have the weird timesheets, law enforcement, the 28-day, one. So I've been in contact with them, and we're just finalizing those, but I'm hoping still that we can achieve some consistency with that. So,
And these will be submitted monthly instead of quarterly. And I think that's the big step in the
so
right
we will have an
direction.
ongoing tally of where everyone's at with their sick and vacation, instead of just guessing between the quarterly reports, so.
So, question, will you be sending those resumes to us shortly then?
Yep, yeah, immediately, that I won't then, based on what I'm hearing, I'm gonna send you just those 5. Is that right? Unless you want me to, but I will send the 5 to those committee members, and I'll reach out to the other committee members first, we'll talk about
And
it.
can we ask down back by Thursday noon?
That's what I would like to say, yeah. Yep, unless somebody has a problem with, somebody specifically says I can't do that by then, but yeah, I think I'll lay that out as a requested deadline.
And then set up interviews for Monday, Tuesday, if that works.
Yep.
Chris?
Can we go back to the time card thing?
Mhm.
So we talked about it at our department head meeting, and I thought I got the feeling that someone thought they were just gonna email them to us and scan them in and we're done. Type thing. Sandra and I kind of I mentioned it to her because I think we need a paper copy, and she agrees, so.
Yep.
I don't know who wants to, if we want to sit down and write up something, because in her thoughts, she should get that spreadsheet along with a voucher for any overtime like she used to.
Okay. Can we work through that with the office, in the office? I mean,
Mhm, yep, yep.
and figure out how. I was my hope, honestly, this is just me thinking out loud, that we could help you guys streamline things a little bit and maybe not worry about the overtime voucher piece of it. But I'm fine with working with your office to know whatever you guys need to do it properly, so we can work through that. But you're right, we talked about it at the department head meeting, we were talking about it just being a digital document and perhaps doing a digital signature on the bottom of it. And
But Sandra
share that
was
concern.
got concerns, so maybe
Okay.
we need to,
Maybe we need to just work through some of that.
Yeah.
We can do that. Mhm.
Maybe when you just start or something, and then when you get familiar, you can go.
Right, yeah, I was really transparent and said, we're working out the kinks, you know, so we might need to
Yep.
have some feedback and tweaking and all that as we go along, but we need to start somewhere, so. I'll follow up with your office on that then. Yeah. Okay.
All right, anything else, Tanya?
I don't
No?
know. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Unfinished business?
do we have any?
No.
My two things,
Yeah,
Those are additions.
Sorry.
oh yeah.
we're snagging clear.
Yeah, we had a meeting down at the water board today and they approved their snag and clear, so I'd make a motion that. It looks like it's gonna be approximately 2.5 miles of snag and clear on the Park River, so I'll make a motion, we go ahead with the assessment.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there further discussion? Amy, have any questions?
This is just we just need to basically.
Procedure they go through.
There,
They need our approval to go to the people to get it.
And this is kind of cleaning parts of the river.
Yeah, part of the river.
Which I know some have said they think that's probably one of the big pieces of, I mean, even my husband said, because I think if we could do more.
They wish, they wish they could get more funding to do more.
Right. That's the issue, money, yeah.
Basically do it as they get funded, so. Okay, we have a motion, and a second,
I seconded it. Oh, okay, sorry.
we'll call for a vote, Amy,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes,
Christie,
Yeah,
Ernie,
Yeah,
myself, yes, motion carried.
the other piece here is I got an email from that company that does the monitoring of Nelson County pumping at it. It's called Starnet Technologies. And the email said it'll inform you that we'll discontinue this automated report as of April 26, 2023. And it further went on, if you're still interested in getting automatic reports, let this Jim Redford know by April 18th. And I took it under my liberty. I thought you guys would want them, so I emailed him back and said, we definitely want to see reports coming to us yet. So I don't know where that's going, but I just wanted to update you that I figured you guys were all in favor of it, that we should keep doing it.
absolutely.
That's all I got on that, I guess. And they are pumping off and on already, and they really shouldn't be, so.
Anybody been west, see what kind of going on? Anything else? If not, we shall adjourn.
You're getting better.
Yeah.
You're lucky I didn't bring anybody to eat. Didn't have time.